I crack myself up sometimes. I ad-lib so much that I crack up on stage sometimes. I think that's so funny. Like someone else said it. But when I hear some of my jokes, it's like some other guy in the room told it. I go, oh, that's funny. And then I realize, hey, you said it.
Comedian David Brenner today on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Buell Thompson. You've heard it said that getting there is half the fun. Well, the people who say that never met David Brenner. He was a well-regarded documentary producer for many years before he turned to stand-up comedy in the late 1960s. And since then, David Brenner had a more than 30-year career in stand-up comedy, in which he became a very popular, hugely popular guest on TV talk shows, including The Tonight Show, where he was a guest for over 150 episodes and a frequent guest host for Johnny Carson. So David Brenner did a lot of traveling in his day. Now, along the way, he accumulated a lot of stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and those became the basis of his 1990 book that he called If God Wanted Us to Travel, ... Now, I'd been a big fan of his for years, so I jumped at the chance to have a few minutes with him when he was on a book tour. In just a moment, our conversation.
Well, we may not own a DeLorean, but we are about to take you back in time, just a little way. This interview is from the 30-year archive of national radio personality Bill Thompson. Enjoy.
So here now, from 1990, the author of If God Wanted Us to Travel, ... David Brenner.
Whose idea was the ...
I came up with two of those dots. And the third dot, I think, was my manager. I had it, if God wanted us to travel, ... And he said, it just has a better balance, so on a third dot. He contributes greatly to my career.
Is there a risk when you put a book out that has on the very cover says outlandish tips and hilarious anecdotes? Is there a little pressure on you now to come up with hilarious anecdotes?
Yeah, because I didn't write that part. I wrote my name and the title. I didn't write that part. The publisher wrote that part. I think the publisher should come out with the hilarious anecdotes. They do that to sell, but I think it is funny. I think it's very funny. I would say very funny anecdotes. I don't know how hilarious they are, but they're very funny.
I will attest to that. They are indeed very funny. How did the idea for this book hit you?
This is the weirdness, okay? This is how I get in trouble. Okay, I am sailing along the coast of Turkey with my childhood friends, the Bird and his wife, Marcia. We've been together since first grade. We knew each other. And I'm kidding around, when we first landed in Rhodos, I'm doing numbers on the airport, and then my usual self, when I'm in a funny mood. And he's screaming. And he always screamed at me, though, since first grade. He says, you ought to write a book about travel. I mean, you've done so much traveling, and you're so funny whenever we travel. And it clicked in my head. So now here's where I get in trouble. So my ego says, that's a great idea. David, do it. So I go to my manager. I said, hey, Steve, I got a great idea. He listens. Oh, that's a great idea. Now we go to an agent, get a literary agent. He says, great idea. Now I said, let's pitch it to a publisher. It's a great idea. Now we pitch it to the publisher, and the publisher says, great idea. And they all say, great idea. And they draw up a contract. That was a great idea. And now I got to write the book. And I hate writing books.
Welcome to publishing.
Yeah, I just wanted someone to say, of authority, great idea. And I would have left the office. I didn't have to write the book. But then I wrote the book, and I think it was a great idea.
It's one of those broad areas, kids, marriage, travel. There's a lot of possibilities in there, aren't there?
Yeah, you know what the beauty of it was? First thing I did, because I hate plagiarism of any sort, and even a hint of it. So I went to a bookstore, and I said, well, I'm going to get all the humorous books. After all, this is the 5th largest industry in the world, tourism. I'm going to get all the humorous books written about travel. What a meaty subject. It must be 50. First bookstore, nothing. Next big bookstore, nothing. I said, well, I know what I got to do. I got to go to the travel bookstore. That specializes. So I go to the specialist, travel. Not one humorous book. I said, will you look up your regular, it's humor, travel humor? They said, nothing's been written about it. I came out of there, and I said, I not only have a good idea, I have a gold mine. The 5th largest industry in the world. It's like no one ever told a joke about government or being married. Can you imagine that? Someone thinks, I think I'm going to kid around about being married. You're kidding. I never thought of making jokes about that. I mean, you know what a gold mine he would have? So that was, I think it's a gold mine.
I like its style too. You don't have to sit down and read the whole book all at once.
No.
You can come back. It's like bathroom reading. You can come.
It's a bathroom. I write bathroom books. But you know why I do that? I want to tell you why. I write a book, the kind of book I would like to read. I write a book that, number one, I read it for an hour one day. I pick it up 2 weeks later and read it for 15 minutes. I read it on the plane. I read it in the bathroom. I read it while I'm waiting for a television show to come on. And I laugh, and it's light, and I'm having fun. That's what I like to read, so that's what I like to write.
Where do you like to travel to?
I like to travel everywhere. I am going to China tomorrow.
Really?
I'm going to be in China for 19 days.
Wow.
I love to see this world. I don't like getting there, and the whole book is about, hotels and buses and trains and cars and flying and all the things I hate. But when I'm there, I'm the greatest traveler. I love every church, go to every church, every museum. Oh, look, a cobblestone. Oh, it's from someone stepped on this 700 years ago. Let me take a picture of that cobblestone. I'm that kind of idiot. So I'm going to China, but I'll tell you where I love to travel. I'll tell you the surprise one. The surprise of all time for me was Turkey. I didn't want to go to Turkey, and I thought I was supposed to go to Greek islands. The boat was not registered in the Greek waters. We couldn't go. It was either cancel the trip or go along the coast of Turkey. And I said, well, I'm not going to cancel a trip. It's a 4-week trip, sailing. I love to sail. Turkey was the greatest. I mean, if you want to go to a fabulous country, really, it's got bad press from that movie. I thought I'd end up in jail. It's great. That was the surprise of all time, was the Turkish coast. Fabulous. The things that I think impressed me most, Egypt and Kenya. I did that as a one trip. And I was blown away by, first of all, the history of Egypt, and to stand there and know what went by. I mean, to walk through the tombs, and the civilization that once was, and that there's no remnants of it today. I mean, where are those people? I mean, what happened to those Egyptians, and see what they did? I mean, come on. I mean, Egyptians are great people, don't get me wrong, but hey, they're not building pyramids. So, and then when I was in Kenya, the thrill to me, and I went on 19 safaris, living in a tent, I went 19 safaris to stand and do a 360 with your eye and not see anything man-made, not even see a jet stream in the sky, to see nothing but nature and animals and know what the world once was and what probably it should have always remained. That was a thrill to me, too.
But now you've been talking about destinations. I thought getting there was half the fun.
Getting there is no fun. My whole philosophy of travel is that vacation doesn't begin until the last hanger goes up in the closet. You have unpacked, first of all, I swear to you, I write in the book, it's true, I have over 1,200 things that could go wrong. I'm serious. I am the most nervous traveler in the world. First of all, I am positive that if I'm home, my alarm won't go off. I have a backup alarm. Then I'm positive that when I get out, if I get a cab, the cab won't come. If the cab comes, the cab driver, typical New York, in New York's the only city in the world where the initials TJM, RZ, PL are not the license plate, but the name of the guy who's driving. So odds are he doesn't speak English. Now I'm lucky he does speak English. I tell him to go to the airport, he doesn't know how to get there. He does know how to get there, great, but he goes to the wrong airport. All right, he goes to the right airport, but he goes to the wrong terminal. He goes to the right terminal, I get there, the plane has been canceled. No, the plane has not been canceled. It's late. No, it's not late, it takes off. It takes off, but it crashes. And then we go from there. I have all the things that could go wrong, and I think about each one as I'm going by. So that's why getting there, you got to be kidding. It's the worst part of it.
After this short break, David Brenner explains why coming home is no picnic either.
AI is not just for 22-year-old coders. A lot of us older adults are drawing on our life experience to find unique and creative ways to use AI, at home or at work. Got an AI success story you'd like to share? Tap the link below to visit our YouTube channel, AI After 40, and let's keep learning together.
Now back to my 1990 conversation with David Brenner.
And all the things that go wrong when you come back. When you're coming back, it's just like a reverse. I had the best one, though. I'm going to tell you one I never had before. This is a new one. This started the book. If you want to know the exact line that started this book, I just remembered. I was waiting in the airport in Rhodos. Now, first of all, my bags, I'm at the point now where my bags aren't arriving, right? My bags are not arriving. I'm standing there. My bags will arrive, but on another airplane. My bags will arrive on another airplane, but I'll have already left this country. I'm going through all these things. But a new one happens. All right, now I have my bags arrive, and nothing that was inside them is with the bags. I've had my bags arrive, but everything that was inside them is but a few feet behind the bag. I've had that. This was a new one. My bag arrives. I see my bag, but I can't get to it. It is stuck. It is hooked on to some piece of metal at the top of the conveyor belt. Now I'm there, bags are hitting it. I'm praying it gets bumped like a pinball machine, that my bag gets bumped. And I started doing, I said, this is a new one. It's now 12,842 things. They go, well, I never had that before in my life. And then finally, when no flights were coming in, a man was so kind as to climb up that slippery thing and get my bag. That was a new one. And that's what kicked off the book, because my friend was on the floor when I was running around the airport going nuts.
Now, when you come up with all the kinds of lists that you have in here, like that list, for example, how do you do you just sit down at the typewriter, put yourself in a trance, say a few mantras or whatever they do, and then start typing?
You're close. What I do is I sit down and I think about, let's take a list. All right, let's take a list. All right. Now, the things that you hate to hear, like I sit down and I get stream of consciousness. I get a typewriter, and if you were in the next room, you'd think I'm copying something with a typewriter. I just and I start in like things you would hate to hear. You hate to hear if you're in a car, someone say, "I thought you were listening to the directions when they gave it to us." That's one of the things you hate to hear. The other thing you hate to hear if you're flying is a pilot to come on and say, "Is there anyone on board who can speak Arabic calmly?" You hate to hear that. One that I hate to hear is, "Hi, we're on our honeymoon." That means this boring couple is going to haunt you through your whole life. Things you hate to hear, right? Or you have someone say, that is not our currency. We do not have a monkey on our $100 bill. Things you hate to hear. Well, what I do is I sit down and literally type. The typewriter's clicking away, and then it starts to slow down. If you were in the other room, you hear a couple clickings, then you hear the minor click, 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 and then nothing, and then the paper comes out of the typewriter. Not only am I finished, and I won't think of one more joke, but I will not remember anything I typed. If you came in and said, here's $10,000 cash, tell us out of this list, how many things are on the list? I'd say, well, about 120. All right, tell us 3 things you typed on that list. 3 jokes I wouldn't know, because my retentive mind is not hooked up with my creative mind. Same thing on stage. First time on a Tonight Show, I came on stage and a friend of mine said to me, he owns this place, Pips in Sheepshead Bay, where I first started. He was like always with me, George Schultz. And George came up to me and said, David, I don't know where you came up with that bus routine. It's one of the funniest things. I never heard you practice it, because I was always practicing in his club. I said, what bus routine? He said that whole thing on buses in Los Angeles. I didn't know what he was talking about. I had to go home that night, watch the Tonight Show, and tape it so that I would know the routine. And, it's like I'm like a joke savant. That's what I am, a joke savant.
But how convenient. That way you can entertain yourself.
Yeah, I know. I crack myself up sometimes. I had lived so much that I crack up on stage sometimes. I think that's so funny. Like someone else said it. That's a gift from my father. My father was the funniest man in the world. And that little person that he put into my brain that controls that humor section that my father gave me, and I had nothing to do with it. It's just a gift. Just like, I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2" because of the genes, whatever were in my genes that made me 6'2". And I'm funny because it's in my genes. My father was so funny. And I don't know how the whole thing works, and I don't want to know how it works. But when I hear some of my jokes, it's like some other guy in the room told it. I go, oh, that's funny. And then I realize, of course, hey, you said it. Don't laugh because you said it. Weird.
Well, see, that was always the thing. I always used to laugh because Red Skelton would break himself up, and Steve Allen. And I finally got to ask Steve Allen once why he broke himself up, and he said it because I think faster than I can react. And he said I just keep going so fast, I ad-lib something and I crack myself up.
He's right. That's what happens. And Red Skelton, one of the thrills I had in my career, I was working at a club, Palumbo's in South Philadelphia, my old neighborhood, right? Come from South and West Philadelphia. And someone comes backstage. Now tell me if you would believe this. All right. Someone comes backstage. It's early in your career, and they say, Red Skelton is here to see you. I said, yeah, sure. I said, oh, yeah, that's nice. Where is Red Skelton seated? I know the poem I like. Red Skelton is at the bar. Oh, sure. Red Skelton, major star, right? Major star, international star, came to see me, 1, in South Philadelphia, and 2, he's sitting at the bar. I said, okay, thank you very much. So I go out and I do my show. Right, yeah, Red Skelton's at the bar. Do my show. I'm backstage. They knock in a little dressing room. Yeah. Red Skelton would like to say hello. He's your biggest fan. I said, oh, sure, send him in. I figure it's a guy from South Philadelphia. He's wearing a red nose, his glasses, his pants will drop his pants when he comes in. One of these demented minds, And then walks Red Skelton.
Oh, gee.
He's like a major fan of mine. I was freaked out. I was absolutely, it was rare that I get freaked out by people, but the fact that he was really there knocked me out. It's like I'll tell you another one. I was in my dressing room at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and I go to the bathroom. And my manager, Steve, who's not prone to practical jokes, knocks on the door. David, yeah, I'm in the bathroom. Yeah. He opens a little bit, started by, he says, Cary Grant is outside. Now, that's an old joke. Cary Grant's going to the bathroom. Guy turns around and says, "Oh, and your Cary Grant wets his leg." It's an old joke. And I'm surprised my manager thought that. I said, "Okay, tell him I'll be out in a minute." Okay? Very funny. So then I walk out, there he is. Cary Grant. I said, "Guess what I was just doing?" I was living your joke, I said. I was living your joke.
I have literally thousands of things I still want to ask, but I'm just about out of time. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or any question you wanted me to ask you that I didn't?
No, I think you're doing a terrific job. Are we taping this, or is this like a phony thing?
No, this is it.
I mean, this is real. This is going out. I mean, people are going to, hear this and they're going to say, "Let's get David Brenner's book." Or is this like a joke?
No.
This is real, because I'm very paranoid.
No, this is
I
real.
am very paranoid. You know who wrote a great line? I don't know who wrote this. I wish I could find a comedian who did. This is brilliant. I did not write this. I would never steal this line. This is brilliant. You know what reverse paranoia is? It's a terrible fear that you're following someone. I wish I wrote that.
David Brenner died in 2014. He was 78. Now you can get your copy of If God Wanted Us to Travel, ... by David Brenner by tapping the link in our show notes, by clicking the link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. And while you're at heardeverything.com, don't miss my 2012 conversation with another frequent Tonight Show guest, Gilbert Gottfried.
When I do the Tonight Show, it's like people's favorite part is not the bit so much, but when you screw up totally.
And my 1987 conversation with Yakov Smirnoff.
Somebody called me and said, "Come on over, we'll chew the fat." I said, "Yeah, that sounds like necking this Russian woman or something." Oh, man.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us wherever you find podcasts. And thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything, as the World Series is about to get underway, my 1998 conversation with one of the greatest voices in baseball broadcasting, John Miller.
I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in America. I mean, I've got the greatest job anybody could ever possibly have. I go to baseball games, which I love, and they pay me for it.
That's next time on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson.